Hello friends, those who are preparing for GSET and NET examination, this session is for you. In the month of November, GSET 2025 is declared and students are preparing for the examination for the subject English. This session is designed specifically for the students of English, and the title is Designing Effective Reading Strategies for GSET NET Preparation. Why designing effective reading strategies? Friends, we need to design our own reading methods for preparation, and that is very important. So, in this session, I am going to show you some strategies that will help you to read subject English. Now, we need to read different areas like literary theory and criticism, literary terms, isms, reading about author, writer, critic, reading text, and history of English literature, different ages. So these are few areas that we are going to study or explore. Now, designing effective reading strategies, for that we will discuss today the first strategy of reading about literary theory and criticism. So literary theory and criticism is there, and we need to have effective reading strategies, because sometimes we read a lot but it is difficult to understand everything. So here there is a one way which I have prepared for you, and in that format we can design our effective reading strategies. Now, when we are reading literary theory and criticism, I have listed few points. First, origin and background. Pick up any theory or any particular school, and then we need to understand origin and background of that theory. Another important thing is about understanding key ideas or concepts. Okay, at least 5 to 7, identify 5 to 7 key ideas and concepts of that theory. Third thing, chief contributors and thinkers. For every theory, there are chief contributors and thinkers. At least we need to know about them. Major text, yes, and representative quotes. So I think this is a framework. If you prepare like this, keeping in mind in all these points, it will definitely help you. So this is designing effective reading strategies. Let us understand by the example. Let us understand by the example that is Marxist literary criticism, and that example we are going to study, that how we can apply these points and start reading. So Marxist literary criticism, origin and background. Now friends, there are different books, materials available on internet, even physically text books, critical books are available. But we are not clear what to read. But at least we need to know basics about origin or background. For example, Marxist literary criticism originated from the ideas of Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, who emphasized the materialistic concept of history, class struggle, and the role of ideology in shaping culture. Its foundation lies in historical materialism, which views literature not as autonomous but as a production of economy, social, and political conditions. Importantly, it developed in the late 19th and 20th century, gaining prominence with the works of George Lukács, Antony Gramsci, and later the Frankfurt School. And in literary studies, Marxist criticism examines how text reflects, reinforce, or challenge socio-economical structures. So I think this short or brief background or origin of that theory that we need to understand. Second point is about key ideas. Yes, there are always principles, ideas, or concepts of that theory. Identify major ideas of that theory that will help you to understand the questions in the exam. Let's say, for example, for Marxist literary criticism, these are the famous concepts of that theory, that is base and superstructure, class struggle, and ideology. So, base and superstructure, that society is divided into economic base, relation and force of production, and superstructure, that is law, politics, religion, art, and literature. Literature belongs to the superstructure shaped by material conditions and class interest. Now, class struggle. Literature reflects conflicts between classes, that is bourgeoisie, that is middle class, and proletariat, that is working class. Text can be either expose or conceal exploitations and oppressions. So this class struggle is again key term in Marxist literary criticism. Ideology, again you see that literature often transmits dominant ideologies that serve ruling class interest. However, it may also contain contradictions that open space for resistance. Commodity fetishism, historical materialism, and hegemony. These are again key concepts of Marxist literary criticism. Commodity fetishism, that is literature like other cultural products, is commodified under capitalism. Critics examines how art becomes a market product and how this affects meaning. Again, you see that historical materialism, it sees historical development through the economical forces of productions and class relations. It rejects the notion that history is shaped by great individuals or abstract ideas. Instead, it views class struggle and material conditions as the driving forces behind social change and progress. One of the uh, famous Marxist critic, that is Antonio Gramsci, gave the term hegemony, which means the ruling class maintains dominance not only through force but through cultural consent. Literature plays a crucial role in shaping consent and resistance. So, friends, these are famous ideas, concepts about this particular theory. We need to identify, and I have given here a brief understanding of all these major ideas or concepts. Key thinkers or chief contributors when you are looking, so we need to also have idea about each and every theory, the chief contributors or thinkers who shaped the entire theory. Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, foundational ideas on class struggle, ideology, and historical materialism. that is, we know that these are the two important figures of this particular theory. George Lukács advocates for realism in literature, emphasized literature as a reflection of social totality. Antonio Gramsci, concept of cultural hegemony and role of intellectuals. He is especially his contribution lies here. Louis Althusser. Louis Althusser introduced concept of ideological state apparatuses. That is again his famous work and his contribution. Raymond William developed cultural materialism term and studies literature as a part of cultural production. Terry Eagleton, very important Marxist critic, synthesized Marxist theory with contemporary literary criticism. So that we need to know about him. And the Frankfurt School explored cultural industry, mass media and ideology. So this is the list, major contributors I have listed briefly. Now text, major text that also works, we need to identify from which this theory evolved. So the Communist Manifesto 1848 by Marx and Engels, that is a very key text for this theory. And Lukács' History and Class Consciousness, the historical novel. Antonio Gramsci's Prison Notebooks 1929 to 1935 is also very important text. Louis Althusser, Ideology and Ideological State Apparatuses is also a key text, and Williams, Culture and Society, Marxism and Literature, and Terry Eagleton, Marxism and Literary Criticism, very important book, and Literary Theory and Introductions. These are the two texts by Eagleton. So these are some of the major texts which at least we need to know about the names of these writers and their texts. Representative quotes. Some quotes, sometimes we see that quotes are there, ideas, famous ideas. So I have listed few quotes here. The old world is dying and the new world struggles to be born. Now is the time for of monsters. Antonio Gramsci. And again you see Louis Althusser, Terry Eagleton says, if we are inspired only by literature that reflects our own interest, all reading becomes a form of narcissism. Culture is one of the 2 or 3 most complicated words in English language that Raymond William calls. And Lukács, history is the history of the unceasing overthrow of the objective forms that shape life of a man. So here you see a list of representative quotes. Now friends, this is just a layout. I have given you the example, one example that we study in a framework. So you can prepare this type of chart for each and every theory comparatively, so you can have ideas. So the points which I have talked or discussed here, this is just for reference, and that's why I said that designing effective reading strategies. So this is what you need to you need to know about the major concepts about the particular theory. So friends, thank you very much. I hope that this lecture, this session will be helpful to you. Thanks.